Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you, and let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen. Oh, boy. Well, we had 2 players dismissed today, and that's probably not a shock to you if you've been following the news. This has been coming, I guess, for a while for one of the individuals, and the other one, I think it just happened yesterday. Also, Heupel gets a big raise, and I think a fairly well-deserved one. We're going to get into that. And then Jones, Butch Jones made sure he got all his money from UT. And he made darn sure of it. We're going to talk about that. Man, it's a lot of news in one day. And I wore, I saw this shirt in my closet. I haven't worn it in a long time. This was one from a Butch Jones era. I don't know if you remember these shirts. They were like real thick rayon. And they were real popular back in the day. I don't think they sell anything quite like this anymore. But, you know, I'm not going to throw away a perfectly good shirt just because, you know, he had a bad ending. And a lot of people don't like him, and I understand that. But anyway, I just thought I'd wear this shirt just for the heck of it. I'm getting into the weeds here, I know. Vol weeds, though. They're vol weeds. They're not bad weeds. All right, let's knock out the bad news first. It says Tennessee Vols dismissed 2 football players following arrest per report. It says the players, they were dismissed on arrest, separate arrest on domestic assault charges. Team spokesman Bill Martin told the Knoxville News-Sentinel. And that's linebacker William Mohan and lineman Savion Herring. And they both just got dismissed by Josh Heupel. And Mohan, he was arrested back on September 5th, and Herring this week. And neither one of these guys were playing. Neither one of these guys started. I think they were backup guys and maybe special teams. It says Mohan was a Michigan transfer. He played in 12 games last season, primarily on special teams. And then Herring was a junior college transfer that I think he was a depth guy for the offensive line. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Look, you know, there's 95 or 85 guys on there, and you're going to have some problems from time to time, and sometimes you got to dismiss guys. Well, that's what Josh Heupel did. So be it, you know. Let's move on to something more positive, and that's Josh Heupel getting a raise and a contract extension from the Vols. Now, I think this is something they'd been working on for quite a while. I don't think this was something they were planning on doing today or this week by any stretch, but I think there was some issues with NCAA, you know, where they're going to lose scholarships and that sort of thing that were involved in the contract negotiations, and we'll see that in this article. But the timing of it is not correct. I think this was going to be done months ago after what was, in my opinion, a very successful season. And I know we lost some games we should have won, but we had lost 30 players in the transfer portal, and we were in big trouble. And Josh Heupel came in and brought a new excitement to the team. And, man, this shirt's hot. Ugh, I don't like it. It's hot as fire. Anyway, let's get into the specifics. It says Josh Heupel has Tennessee ranked in the top 15, 2 games into a second season, and stabilized it, of course, and after a nightmare scenario with the coach, which dare not speak its name. Tennessee has given Heupel a raise of $1 million.
$1 million.
Bumping his annual base salary to $5 million. And that does sound like a lot of money, but realize he's still in the bottom third of the SEC coaches' salaries. And he's contracted now through 2027. Let's see, Heupel had been 28-8 in his 3 seasons at UCF, and he had initially agreed to a 6-year deal with an annual base salary of $4 million. And it had a clause regarding Tennessee's still unresolved NCAA situation. If the Vols were given a multi-year bowl ban or a reduction in scholarships of 8 or more, he would automatically have the deal extended through 2027. So he covered himself a little bit in case Tennessee got hammered. But I don't think they're going to be, because they really cooperated with the NCAA big time, and they've already knocked themselves down out of 12 scholarships last year. So they've self-imposed a little bit anyway. And the NCAA sang their praises about how well they cooperated. Well, and they fired everybody that was involved in it. All the coaches got fired. So, you know, they kind of did what they're supposed to do. It says the addendum to Heupel's contract now runs through January of 2028. Let's look at the buyout. Tennessee would owe Heupel 100% of his remaining base salary for terminating him before December 15th of 2024. Then the buyout would drop to 75%. And then in 2026, it would drop to 50%. If Heupel terminated the deal himself, let's say somebody came and hired him away from us, the buyout would be $8 million they'd have to come up with, plus whatever they paid him. I wish that number was higher. I wouldn't tell you. I don't want him going anywhere. You know, I don't think I'm going to feel any different after this year either. And then he has some bonuses here. Look, it says here he gets $500,000 if he wins the national title. He'll get way more than $500,000 if he wins a national title, I can assure you. If he wins the SEC championship, $100,000. Oh, he'll get so much more than that. A New Year's Six bowl of $200,000. That's a drop in the bucket of what he'd get if he's in a New Year's Six bowl. And here's a SEC Coach of the Year, $50,000. He might win that. He might get that $50,000. Says he's 9-6 in his first 15 games after inheriting a program mired in uncertainty with the NCAA situation and 30 transfers, including many of our starters. They were picked to finish 5th their first season, and then we whooped up on, God, we killed Missouri and South Carolina. That was just brutal. And he's had a good start. Of course, we know we've covered the crap out of this, Ball State and Pittsburgh. So that's good. You know, obviously they wanted to give him a raise after that excellent first year, and they just now got it taken care of, which is fine. I think after this year he's probably going to see another raise, and hopefully they raise that buyout amount because I don't want anybody coming in here and poaching our coach. Just stay away. Just go find your coach somewhere else. We've got our coach. Just leave us alone. Now, there are other coaches available. How about the one we're getting ready to talk about? Butch Jones. It says, Butch Jones' comments on College game day are certain to anger Tennessee Vols fans. It says, former Tennessee head coach Butch Jones is pretty much universally disliked by the UT fan base. He had some good moments at Tennessee, like the wins against Georgia in 2015 and 2016, a win against Florida in 2016, and that was Josh Dobbs' era. And man, was Josh Dobbs a good player. Jeez. Says, but most of his time in Knoxville was a disaster. By the end of Jones' tenure at UT, there was finger-pointing, lots of lies, and lots of lopsided losses. Says, while the Vols finally fired Jones, they sent him away with a lucrative buyout of $8 million that was paid in monthly installments from the time he was fired. The buyout was to be mitigated by any salary he made from working as a coach in another program. So what did Jones do? Question. He made sure he got nearly every dime of the buyout by taking a low-paying job as a quality control assistant in Alabama. He also worked as the assistant to the head coach, Nick Saban. It says, while Tennessee finished Jones's buyout payments, he decided it was time to move on from Alabama after 3 seasons and get a real job. That's when he took over as head coach at Arkansas State. It says, during an interview on ESPN's College Game Day this past weekend, Jones was asked about the salary discrepancy, and his smirk while replying tells you all you need to know. It says in the article, it said, that's a man who clearly has no shame. I'm sure there are some out there who will say it was a smart move, but most coaches have a bit more pride than that. It's why you see guys immediately jump to another job or try to catch on as a coordinator somewhere else. Instead, Jones continued to work at Alabama, making copies or whatever he was doing, and passing up good jobs like the offensive coordinator job at Maryland, for example. He says, if that angers you, you're likely not alone. But this should make you feel better. ESPN managed to throw some subtle shade at Jones by referring to other assistants who worked their way up at Alabama, while Jones seemingly went the opposite direction. So, yeah, that is throwing some shade at him. In other words, these other guys went on to be head coaches, and he sat around making, I think he was making $30,000, and the whole time we knew what he was doing. He was like, I'm just going to let them, anyway, yeah, he should have moved on. Look, it's not that he's some horrible coach. He could have been a coach at Arkansas State. He could have been an offensive coordinator. He was a pretty good coach when he came here from, where was he, Milwaukee or something? But he'd won some conference. What was it? Was he at Cincinnati? I think he was at Cincinnati, and he'd won the conference or something. That was back before Cincinnati was really, really good, like they are now. But they were pretty good then. So, he wasn't some hack. He could have got a job. I think he just wanted to stick it to UT, which tells you how much he wanted to be head coach of the Vols. I don't think there's any question. And actually, I have an individual who's agreed to come on this program, but it has to be incognito. And I actually don't even know the person's real name. What they're telling me is they have in-depth information about the whole Butch Jones situation. And what they've told me is his name is actually Butcher Johnson. So, let's see what he has to say.
Sports Talk Jay, thanks for letting me come on the program here. I appreciate it. I've been watching the Vols, and they've been doing very, very, very good. And I think Coach Heupel might end up being a very, very, very good coach. He's got a lot of 3-star guys out there, and they seem to be playing with 5-star hearts, that's for sure. And I can tell you, maybe they were 7-6 last year, but they are champions in life, that's for sure. And by the way, I love this background. Absolutely love it. It's just like how a team should be built, just brick by brick by brick. I think that's wonderful. That really suits me. So I couldn't be happier with this background. But look, Coach Jones, he did what was best for him. And he wanted to stay at Alabama. It wasn't to try to get any money out of UT or anything like that. He wouldn't do anything like that. It's not that he was angry that he got fired from the Vols. Okay, he might have been a little angry, a little super angry. And maybe he's still angry. I don't know. I'm just somebody that kind of knows him and knows a little something about him. That's all. Anyway, I need to go. Still mad about it. I mean, he's still mad about that.
Okay, well, thanks there, Butcher Johnson. I appreciate you coming on the show and spreading a little sunshine, letting us know what's going on. And like I say, I think we just need to let him go on. He's got his money. He's happy. He's at Arkansas State, I believe it is. And we'll just go right on with Josh Heupel, and I think we'll be just fine. All right, folks, just a little update and some news with those 2 players and then Heupel getting his raise and Jones and all that. Got Akron tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I believe it is, so I'll get to watch that because I have to work on some Saturdays. So anyway, I'll get to watch the game, and that'll be fun. And I think we'll get to see a whole lot of our starters in the first half, and hopefully we see a lot of the backups and the freshmen in the second half and get to see what they can do. Don't want to get anybody hurt. Just keep everybody nice and healthy. And moving on to that big game against the Gators. Oh, boy. The week of the Gators, you're going to be seeing a lot of me. I can tell you that. The game of the year for me. Anyway, I hope you like this content. If you did, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I just started doing this a couple months ago. I could use some subscribers and stuff. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk J.